What's going on, guys? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. I literally just got out of work. I'm still in the parking lot, still got my clothes on, still got the stuff that I bought for Valentine's Day from my girlfriend next to me here. It's been about an hour or so since the Raheem Mostert news dropped that we will be releasing him. So I've had a little bit more time to reflect and think about that. Literally 5 minutes ago, at the time of me recording this, the news about Durham, Smythe, and Kendall came out. So that's still a little fresh for me. But cuts that were expected. I'll go through each of them individually in this video rather than making 3 separate videos. Don't have the time. I don't really have the need for that. Raheem Mostert, it's conflicting because Raheem Mostert obviously this season just was not good. Every stretch of the word, every stretch of the imagination just did not have it. But that 2023 season, most touchdowns single season in Dolphins history, had half of his career touchdowns in 1 year with 21 of his 42 touchdowns in that 1 year. 1,000-yard rusher, was playing a role that he wasn't necessarily supposed to play. Was playing a between the tackles, bigger back, which, yeah, he's taller, but he's more of a speedster. He's not somebody that is meant to run between the tackles, but he made it work. Scored a whole heck of a lot of points, and yeah, a lot of them were the Dolphins just moved the ball downfield, and he scored on 1, 2, 3 yard rushes. But those are how a lot of running backs get their work. I mean, look at David Montgomery's touchdowns over the years. Like, a lot of them are within the 5 yard line in goal to go situations. There's nothing wrong with being a goal line running back touchdown merchant. You score one way or another, and he was really big for us. But obviously this last year, he just didn't have any juice left in the tank. I mean, he couldn't pick up blocks. He couldn't shed any tackles. Wasn't explosive really at all. Never really had any explosive plays. And then you add to that the fumbles and the continued injury history that he has. It was time for him to go. The Miami Dolphins have a very weak running back group, and he was part of it, unfortunately. Devon Achane was the only guy back there producing, and a lot of his was even empty calories. I've had some criticisms of Devon Achane, and I'm not sure exactly if he's a workhorse for the future for the Dolphins, but certainly Raheem Mostert wasn't. So this move, letting him go, makes a lot of sense. It sucks because how great of a season he had, how good he was for the locker room, somebody that always had a smile on his face, and somebody that I really enjoyed watching as a Dolphins fan for the 2023 season. And then unfortunately 2024 was just kind of a headache watching him out there, not knowing whether he's going to fumble the ball, not knowing whether he's going to get 1 yard a carry on the game. So a up and down career for Raheem Mostert with the Miami Dolphins, mostly good, and I'm going to try to remember the good from that 2023 season, but it was time for him to go and the Dolphins to pursue other options at the running back position. Durham Smythe, a guy that has been with the Dolphins his entire career, another guy that, look, it was time. He was a day 2 pick, 3rd or 4th rounder, I believe, and he never has eclipsed 400 receiving yards on a season, and that is not his strength. He is a blocking tight end, but you're still a tight end. And in 2025 now, you got to have hands. And we saw in one season how different this Dolphins offense looks with Jonnu Smith in there with a tight end that can run the whole route tree for tight ends, that is physical, that has really good hands, that has good mobility after the catch, elusive, some kind of a tweener at the tight end position, somebody who, you're not necessarily going to put a corner on per se, but not many middle linebackers can guard him. So Jonnu Smith, just on the season, one of the best tight ends that we've ever had single season wise, if actually was the best single season from a tight end that we've ever had from Jonnu Smith. And then Durham Smythe, he's 29 years old now. You know what you're getting from him. And then this last season, whenever he got a catch, it was kind of surprised seeing him out there on the field. Like, oh yeah, he's still on the field. He's still on the Dolphins, Durham Smythe. Not much that he contributed to this offense, and I was so thrilled to bring in Jonnu Smith because we finally had a tight end that you could design plays for, and somebody that is actually going to add an extra element, an extra piece, rather than just being somebody who's out there, just a guy. So Durham Smythe, not a career that anybody's going to write home about. In like 10 years from now, he's going to be like, yo, you remember Durham Smythe? Because during the COVID season when we were bad, he would get a touchdown. That'd be pretty exciting. He's a more quiet, mild-mannered guy, so he's somebody that it's easy to get excited for, but that excitement didn't really come from truly how good he was as a tight end. So again, makes sense to move on from him, and just as much as it makes sense to move on from Kendall Fuller, these are all 3 moves that I think are good ideas from the Dolphins, moves that I approve. Getting rid of the dead wood. Kendall Fuller just didn't work. Straight up, simply put, did not work. And him and Jordan Poyer are kind of the poster boys of what went wrong for the Miami Dolphins on defense last year. Guys on potentially their last stop in the NFL joined the Dolphins. The Dolphins making the brain-dead decisions that they have made to let some of the likes of Andrew Van Ginkel walk and Christian Wilkins walk and Brandon Jones and all the success those guys have had, guys that the Miami Dolphins have drafted and have brought up and coached and developed into good players that are now into the peak of their careers. The Dolphins let them walk for guys that are on the downslope of their careers. Poyer and now Kendall Fuller. Kendall Fuller, to say he was out there on an island, I mean that in the worst way possible. I mean, he couldn't guard a tree. That we staying put, wouldn't have anywhere to go. Just clearly didn't have the juice, didn't have the passion and the fire left to play in the NFL. And it's going to be a very different looking Miami Dolphins defense next year, one way or another, because there's a whole bunch of older veterans like Poyer, like Kendall Fuller. The only one that worked really was Calais Campbell, but these guys are all old on 1 and 2 year deals that are very easy to move off from, or they're free agents. And honestly, most of them are likely going to retire. Probably the last time you'll ever see them on the field is what we saw from this year as Miami Dolphins. Good to let him go. Good to let Smythe go. And good to let Raheem Mostert go. This team went from the youngest team in the league to the oldest team in the league. And now getting rid of 3 pieces that in their careers, I guess, had their time. Raheem Mostert had a 2023 season. Durham Smythe, I guess, never really did. But Kendall Fuller, obviously on other teams, had a pretty decent career. But this probably marks a new chapter for the Dolphins. This year, Mike McDaniel has to get it right. This year, Chris Grier has to get it right. They can't afford to run it back like they did last season, or both of them are going to be without a job. Mike McDaniel is on the hot seat going into 2025. Chris Grier is. This free agency class, this draft class is huge. It's going to make or break their careers. Do they survive and advance into another season, or is this going to be the last year that we're head coached by Mike McDaniel and GM by Chris Grier? I hope it's not the last year. I absolutely hope that they get it right. I don't think it was the right decision to keep Chris Grier, but as long as he's in place, I'm going to be rooting for him to succeed. I'm not going to be rooting against him just for the sake of getting him out of there. I'm going to be rooting for the Dolphins to win every single game we go out there. I'm going to be rooting for every single player that wears a Dolphins uniform to win and play at the best of their ability. So I will be rooting for them to get these next decisions right. But they started off on the right foot, get rid of 3 guys that had minimal to no impact, or probably better put, negative impact on the team last year, in Raheem Mostert, in Durham Smythe, in Kendall Fuller. Moves that had to be made, but more moves are probably still going to come. This team has some more dead wood that it needs to get rid of. Positions on both sides of the ball that needs to fill out with younger, hungrier players that are either first, second year guys that are looking to make a mark, or bring in some guys that are actually in the peaks of their career rather than on the valleys of their career. So I'm excited to see what happens. Not a lot of money to spend for the Dolphins. They save obviously a little bit of money with each of these moves, so that does alleviate the cap a little bit. I believe we are still under the cap as of now, but moves that had to be made. Raheem Mostert, thank you for your service. Durham Smythe, thank you for your service. Kendall Fuller, I'll see you next time. Let me know your thoughts about this down below in the comments. I got a date. I got to shave. I got to wash my hair. I got to look a lot more cute than I do right now. So let me know your thoughts on these moves. Let me know your thoughts on the careers of Durham Smythe, Raheem Mostert, and Kendall Fuller. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch y'all next time. Have a great rest of your day. Go Dolphins.